Illicit trafficking erodes economies, promotes corruption, and destabilizes societies. The shadow of illicit trafficking hinders global advancement. Addressing illicit trafficking requires a global, unified effort. Human lives should never be commodities in the illicit trade market. Illicit trafficking thrives on human misery and exploitation. Each instance of illicit trafficking represents a breach of human dignity. The fight against illicit trafficking is inherently a fight for human rights. Illicit trafficking flourishes where laws are weak. International cooperation is essential to combat illicit trafficking. Illicit trafficking silently steals prosperity and peace. All forms of trafficking exploit the vulnerable and weaken communities. Illicit trafficking crosses borders and requires a united global response. The true cost of illicit trafficking is seen in broken lives and lost dreams. Eliminating illicit trafficking is vital for global security and justice. Illicit trafficking perpetuates violence and poverty cycles. Awareness and action are key to eradicating illicit trafficking. Illicit trafficking undermines trust in institutions and impedes development. The fight against illicit trafficking is a fight for humanity's integrity. Illicit trafficking profits from desperation and human suffering. Preventing illicit trafficking is a moral duty for all nations. Illicit trafficking is a severe violation of human rights and freedoms. Our fight against illicit trafficking must be unwavering and firm. Illicit trafficking targets society's most vulnerable and marginalized. The roots of illicit trafficking are in poverty, conflict, and corruption. Combating illicit trafficking requires a sophisticated response. Together, we can break the chains of illicit trafficking. Illicit trafficking is a stain on humanity that must be removed. We combat illicit trafficking with education, enforcement, and empathy. Illicit trafficking robs futures and perpetuates injustice. Raising awareness is the first step in the fight against illicit trafficking. Illicit trafficking is a crime against humanity requiring global attention. Breaking the cycle of illicit trafficking needs holistic, sustained efforts. Illicit trafficking thrives on ignorance and operates in the dark. Justice for illicit trafficking victims is essential. Illicit trafficking disrupts societies and weakens global stability. We must dismantle the networks that support illicit trafficking. Illicit trafficking is modern-day slavery that must be ended. The human toll of illicit trafficking is immense. We must confront illicit trafficking with determination. Empowering communities is crucial to preventing illicit trafficking. Illicit trafficking thrives where hope and opportunity are lacking. The global community must unite against illicit trafficking. Illicit trafficking destroys lives and harms society's fabric. We cannot ignore the horrors of illicit trafficking. Illicit trafficking is a borderless crime. Ending illicit trafficking demands a commitment to justice and human rights. Illicit trafficking preys on the powerless and benefits the unscrupulous. True victory against illicit trafficking restores human dignity. Illicit trafficking exploits the shadows, we must expose it. Our collective resolve can end illicit trafficking and restore hope.